Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. It's MH3 here for a very special edition of Bourbon Street. I want to welcome my guest co-host Eric. Morning,
Hey
Eric.
there. Great to be here.
Glad you're with us. Thanks for bailing us out. Usually, Eric's the guy behind the scenes, managing the posts, making sure that I don't swear too much, keeping Don and I in
Yeah.
check. Don's tied up today, so I am calling in from Sparrow Lake, the Mountie and the Pines. Here's a quick story for you, Eric. I'm at a lodge that I've never been to. It's owned by the Skłosky family. I think it's been in their family 65 years. And I
Oh
went to
wow.
elementary school with Richard, who's he and his wife Joanne are the current proprietors here. Literally, I just saw him an hour and a half ago. I hadn't seen him since grade 8 when I was 4 foot nothing and I had a big Michael Jackson.
Oh wow.
That's inspired my first topic today. But I'm going to throw it over to you to kind of kick things off and talk to you a little bit about sports in the U.S. and Canada. For those
For
of you
sure.
who
I
don't know
do love my
Eric,
sports.
everybody loves Eric's jersey game. So every meeting, every Zoom, he's got a new pair behind him. And what are you wearing today, Eric?
I have my Respect the Six socially distant t-shirts. Of course, you can get them at socially distant tees 19 for COVID-19.ca. Yeah, we're doing a charity fundraiser for some charities here in Toronto for COVID-19. So definitely take a look. Also, there's a link on the T1 website. So please go take a look. They're a lot of fun.
Awesome, awesome. Okay,
But
talk to me about sports.
yeah, U.S. sports in Canada. So this is something that's I've been thinking about a lot. We are privileged in Canada to be located so close to the United States and be able to access the pro leagues, the top pro leagues in the world. But with COVID-19 at our doorstep these days, everything's changed. And I want to know, we're not going to be going to the U.S. anytime soon. COVID-19 is not going to be disappearing anytime soon, I don't think, especially in the United States. I'm interested in how this alters our relationship with American sports. Obviously, we see the Blue Jays trying to get permission to play here, which is likely, they say it's going to happen, but it's probably not going to happen now. The federal government has their decision to make.
Right.
Over time, does this make Canadians look inward to our domestic sports leagues? Is this something we can rely on? Because, I mean, I don't think, even though next year the MLB's come out with their schedule, the Blue Jays are playing here April 1st. I don't know what that's going to be like. I don't think that's something that's possible.
Well,
So, I mean,
three quick comments. One, and I love where you're going with this. I think, like everything, we're going to have a very domestic future, right? Supply chains,
yeah,
travel, tourism. You're right. We love our ability to tap into those national North American leagues. And not to pat myself on the back, but I do remember posting a LinkedIn video way back. I should check the date. I think it was April. And I said that the NHL would finish their season in Canada. And
hmm
somebody, including the former president of RDS, called me out and said I was full of crap. Well, anyway, I'm not. But I'm with you. And I think, look, at the end of the day, it's going to be an interesting one because, I mean, you love your baseball.
oh,
I
for
have
sure.
season tickets, and those watching, Eric actually does the draft for me of the games with my partner. So I think you're on to something here. And you don't think the Jays are going to play in Canada this year?
So it's a mixed bag because the same as the training permission that they got from the government, the provincial governments come out first saying, yeah, we're gung ho. Doug
Right.
Ford's like, yeah, I want them to play here. And then the federal government takes a little bit longer. Same things happened yesterday. The provincial government said, yeah, we're good to go. It's approved. And I think everyone got ahead of themselves a little bit. And the federal
Right.
government says, we have some serious issues here.
Right.
My personal take on that is the plan is actually feeling more safe now. The issue is
Mhm.
the optics involved of professional athletes having that sort of ability to come in when the general public is closed from going back and forth. I think it's more of an optics issue as it is a safety issue.
Well, and I think it's also pragmatic if you're separated from family. So um,
Exactly.
we'll come back to this. I think there's more to talk about today around Canada, but I'm gonna go to a little trip down memory lane here. So um, I actually worked on this lake, Sparrow Lake, when I was 15, which is a long time
Oh
ago,
wow.
at a
Yeah.
lodge. Yeah, don't say it like that. At a lodge, at, at a lodge called Winona Lodge. And I'd love everybody to think about what was your best summer job. Hey, Erica, let's start with you. Actually, I'm going to tell you a story about Winona, but what was your best summer job ever?
Well, you know what? I've had a couple great jobs outside. My summer jobs always have to be outside, but I'd say working at Ontario Place for many years, being able to work by the lake with a lot of young people, getting a tan or bad tan lines, either one. But just being able to go outside and just socialize and have that community and group you have with your coworkers, especially when you only see them for that 2-3 months.
I love it. There's nothing like it. So I worked at this lodge. I was 15. What happened was the lodge was run by a husband and wife. They were having marital issues, so they were ordered not to run the lodge that year. Their 2IC
Okay.
was a guy named Dave. He was the year-round jack of all trades, maintenance man, boat rental. So he was running the place. I saw a job ad. I don't know how I got this job. The next thing you know, I'm hired to work there. And I think my technical title was maintenance man, but here's what I actually did. I would get super early in the morning, like 4:30, 5 o'clock, clean the boats, put the bait in, fuel them. All the guests would come down who wanted to go fishing around 6:30. Off they would go. Then I would go and I'd mow the lawns in this big ride-on tractor with this big galley behind me. Then I opened up the snack bar and the tuck shop and made that come to life. Then I painted, whatever room needed painting. And then that night when the boats came back, I cleaned them. One of the things of my job is I actually had to drive the little red Winona Lodge truck into town to pick up supplies. I guess they didn't realize when they hired me when I was 15, I didn't have a driver's license. So that's actually how I learned to drive.
Oh, wow.
So
basically, what didn't you do? It sounds like you did everything.
I'll tell you, when you're 15 years old and you're renting boats and ordering T-shirts, like it kind of prepared, like weird foreshadowing for life. But
yeah, true.
And then I worked at other great places. To your point, there's a camaraderie to a summer job that's amazing. And you build that up. For whatever reason, the first week back in September, I was always sick. I think it's because you worked and partied all summer hard, and then your body shut down a bit. But let's talk a little bit about... That was
the part that I was going to say. So the partying part is actually a low-key best part of a summer job, for sure.
Yeah, my parents are 84 and 88 now, but I think they actually realized that summer that I was drinking. If they didn't, it's confession time.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about the Canadian Football League.
Yeah, so I'm a season ticket holder to Toronto Argonauts. I love the CFL. I wish more people in the GTA cared about...
You gotta be...
I know, that's what I'm saying. I wish more people cared about it in the GTA. They don't realize what they're missing. The party, the excitement, the level of talent in the CFL. I remember way back when people on message boards and everything would say, oh, a U.S. high school team could beat a CFL team. I'm like, do you know who's playing in the CFL? These are Division I NCAA football players. And so something I'm passionate about. Yes, both combined, obviously. But this is a high-level sport, and it is a big part of communities across the country. The question is, they're asking for government support from the Canadian government. They asked for a lot more at the beginning of the pandemic.
Ridiculous request, yeah. The league, the entire league, if you bought every team in the league, might be worth $60 million, and they asked for 142. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah, that everyone knew that was. Even I knew. The biggest fan, that was a ridiculous number. So now they're asking for $42 million to just cover operating expenses and player salaries if they were to do a shortened season this year in a hub city somewhere. Could happen, might not happen, but that's basically all they're asking for right now. The question is, like, is it worth it? Like, I mean, it's a part of the fabric of a lot of Western Canadian cities. And, we're sitting here in Toronto counting off the teams that are coming back now. And, these 4 Toronto teams playing in the next 2 weeks. For a lot of cities in the West, this is all they have. You look at Ottawa where it's positive. In Hamilton, this is all they have. Personally, I think there's a lot of big business getting a lot of money from the government. This $42 million number is a little more manageable for me.
I'm torn. I got to tell you.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'd say there's I think we have to prioritize. With jobs at stake is important, and culture, absolutely. And I love the CFL. I'm an Ottawa Rough Riders fan. Hate the name Red Blacks. J.C. Watt's favorite player, ripped off in the 81 Grey Cup, I think it was, the false offensive pass interference call. Tony Gabriel, don't get me started, although I'm already started. But I think now that the ask is more realistic, and I think, the league needs to understand they did not include all the stakeholders. They're still not including all the stakeholders. And I also push back and say, is it safe? I've been a volunteer coach for 25 years. I'm not sure football's safe. So, hate to say it. Hey, we're about a year out from technically they're called the 2020 Olympics, even though they'll hopefully be held in 2021. And as many of you know, we were going to have a big sponsorship conference in Tokyo. This coming week, actually, or next week, we've got a whole series of Sponsorship X webinars involving people from the Canadian Olympic Committee, athletes, the International Paralympic Committee, sponsors, Toyota, Bridgestone, and Team GB, some technology folks. I am very curious to watch how this evolves. And, so this is kind of, maybe I'm being a bit of a hypocrite on the heels of the CFL, and I get the cultural importance. The world needs an Olympics. Athletics, people need an Olympics. Again, what will it end up looking like? Will there be fans? Will there be no fans? Will you change the nature of qualifying so that you don't have a whole series of events that maybe can potentially cause problems? Like, is this the Olympics to maybe look at it and say, okay, we'll just treat it like if there's it's like high school track. Like if there's 200 teams, everybody can bring 200-meter people, and maybe we can get rid of some of the old formalities and just do different levels of runoffs and seedings. And I get you can't go to the Olympics and run 10 100-meter sprints. Your body's not built to do that. But I think we have to, they have to look it through and look. So much has changed with COVID. The Olympics, I think, can change as well. And speaking of Olympics, obviously, unless I've got a fast speedboat, I'm not getting there on the water. What about you? Are you ready to fly? You ready to jump on a plane?
So that's a question I think everyone's asking themselves. When is the last time you flew, Mark? Do you recall?
I think I flew home, I'm getting the date wrong, March 6th from Vegas. We were doing site inspections for Sponsorship X with our NFL draft.
Okay.
The other day, my son had in his calendar, flight to Beijing, guess I don't need that.
That's a tease.
But I would say, I'm going to suspect, I don't have the math. This is by far the longest I've gone without flying since I was probably in university.
For sure. And I mean, it's something that, obviously international flying is out of the question right now. It's just a matter of the domestic flying. And I know the last flight I had was actually March 12th. I arrived from Florida. Honestly, I don't know how I didn't get COVID-19. I went down to see the Jays spring training game. Yeah. I saw their last spring training game before it all got shut down. They played the Baltimore Orioles. They won 14-0. It was very good. But
nice.
That's one of the things. So up until about 2 weeks ago, I believe, there were restrictions on flights. I didn't know the specifics of it, but only a certain amount of people could be on a flight at a time. And I was starting to feel a little bit better about flying, something that I could do. I know my aunt just flew to Calgary to see her kids. But in the last 2 weeks, when they've taken those restrictions away, I've completely changed my tone. And I think it's something that everybody is asking themselves, even to Montreal, for example, is it worth it sort of deal? But it's a huge part of our life, especially in Canada, for how big we are. We need these flights and we need these airlines to succeed.
So I'm not sure I got the bottom line. Would you get on a plane right now?
Right now, no. So in the last 2 weeks, I think I've changed my mind again, because you open up Twitter and every day there's Air Canada or WestJet's trending somewhere, and you click on it, it says, oh, there were 9 people infected on this flight to Halifax. There were 3 people infected to this flight to Vancouver. So I think it is a huge part of community carrying or sending COVID-19 to other regions of the country. And I think it's something we have to keep our eye on. But at the same time, these airlines can't just go away. It's a big part of who we are. So it's a balance that we'll have to take a look for the next 2-3 months, half a year.
So I'm going to combine your flying and we got a question in. You want to take this question? What do you think about the WNBA? And I believe Elena Deladonna is she not the reigning MVP of the WNBA?
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Okay. So I know that she has I think she's had Lyme disease and she has quite a bit of concern. And help me out here because I don't have the internet to cheat. I can't ask the trees behind me. I'm pretty sure Luke said to her she has to show up and play. Is that the story?
So what I saw yesterday, she takes 60 pills a day. She applied to be exempted from this year's season, and so obviously still get paid under health concerns, and she was denied. I believe the doctors in the WNBA said it's not as bad as your doctors say it is, which is ridiculous. And it's something that a lot of people are debating. Is this is not something that would be said to the defending NBA MVP of the NBA. Like
Right.
if this had happened in the NBA, it'd be a completely different story. And as of now, the team has come back.
Sorry, go ahead. Keep going. I cut you off.
The team has said that she will get paid, regardless if she plays now.
Okay.
I saw that this morning.
So that's what I was going to ask you. In the men's, let's put a point on this. We'll put a gender point on this. In the men's,
yep.
So I'm just trying to figure out if that's a car or a plane or a duck. Oh, great. They're about to cut the lawn out here. So if you can't hear me, let me know and I'll change places. But
okay.
In the men's leagues, to your point, NBA, MLB, if you opt out, are you still getting paid?
You have to have a health reason, or you have to have, I believe it's a direct health reason to stop playing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's
rule.
Good.
So they relented. She'll get paid. I think here, look, I'm going to sound critical. Some of the things that are going on, nobody's navigated this before, but I think sometimes people are just overthinking this. Like the stupid NFL rule, you can't swap jerseys after games. So let's pretend you and I both weigh 115 pounds more than we do, and we're offensive and defensive linemen. We're in a game and we're beating the crap out of each other all game, slobbering all over each other, mauling each other, battling it out. And then at the end of the game, in a moment of mutual respect, we can't swap our jerseys because somehow we're going to get sick for that. Like, like, how does that get through?
Yeah.
How does that get public? And
no.
To your point on this one, like, you got to think the WNBA. And look, I'm excited about the way these leagues, like the National Women's Soccer League, has come back and killed it in Utah, and CBS is ecstatic with the ratings. It's a great opportunity for women's sports. So they got to think better. I'm going to go back a quick topic and then give you a layup for domestic tourism. But
for sure,
we talked about at the top with sport. We talk about travel and infection. And look, I want to be super clear. My heart breaks for what is happening to America, and it's happening from the top, and it's happening from the bottom. And from the top, they are leaderless and rudderless and being led by a crook and a convict and a racist. And soon to be convict, trust me on that. And at the bottom, their belief in their own individual rights is ridiculous. The fact that there are people dying because they're going to COVID parties. They have parties in the US where people go, they gather prizes and money together, and the first person to be officially diagnosed with COVID wins a prize. And I haven't seen it, but apparently there's somebody on Twitter who actually died and expressed remorse to the doctor. And so I read an article the other day that a 68 and 70-year-old couple who have a cottage up by North Bay from Florida came into Canada, and they were running around town, and they didn't quarantine, and they don't care. Go ahead, America, and screw up your own country. I love Americans. There's a lot of great Americans. But you know what? Collectively, even the best American, you allowed this situation to happen. You allowed Trump to happen. You allowed your individual rights and your gun toting to happen. And you've allowed people to believe that there's a hoax. So even the best of Americans, you've got to fix this. Do not come here and screw our thing up.
For sure. It's a mindset, and it goes back to that US-Canada sports. You realize right away when you hear American athletes come here, they talk differently about the COVID-19 situation. And it starts right from the top with President Trump. I totally believe his actions have changed the minds of people at the bottom, certain people.
Yeah. So you're talking about flying forward. Let's talk a little bit about domestic tourism, which I'm doing right now.
I'll do domestic tourism quickly because it is related to that safe to fly. And again, I'm not going to the U.S. until 2022. That's my personal opinion. I'm a guy that goes like 5-6 times a year to see the Jays, maybe a different game down in Detroit, Florida. I don't care what happens. The disease could disappear tomorrow. I'm not going back till 2022. The question then becomes, will domestic tourism within Canada keep that Canadian tourism industry alive? I don't know. Obviously, there's still restrictions across the country here and there. But when I think about, okay, I have vacation in 2 weeks, and I was planning on going to California to see the Jays play the Angels, but I now have this time and I have nowhere to go or nothing to do.
Right.
What am I going to do? Am I going to go to Ottawa? Am I going to go to Kingston or this or that? I am considering it, those type of things.
Absolutely.
It's the balance of safety. Everywhere is different. Some places outside Toronto don't want Torontonians there either. But I think that there is an opportunity for us to sort of take care of ourselves within our own little bubble.
Well, and a
Absolutely.
comment on the wanting. I read an article the other day. This woman from Quebec getting harassed in New Brunswick because she's walking a beach with nobody around. They called the police on her. Like, come on, let's be Canadian. Let's also be
Yeah.
smart about it. But I'm with you. Like, hey, I am spoiled. My summer vacation was supposed to be, conference in Montreal. Yes, I call work vacation. My conferences are fun. But we were going to go to Japan. We're going to go to the Olympics. We're going to see Olympic events. And myself and the family, we were going to tour around. Um, hey, my summer vacation has been recalibrated to Sparrow Lake, Thousand
Hmm.
Islands for a family cottage weekend, Georgian Bay for another cottage weekend. Canada has so many amazing places, nooks and crannies, that
Yep.
I think it's going to be an amazing opportunity for lodges, whitewater rafting, camping, us discover our country. And I
Hmm.
think we need to realize that domestic business is going to be huge. And now for a quick non-domestic topic, a friend of mine sent me a cool video the other day, and we've done some work in the past for UFC, and it's a pretty exciting sport. I can't suggest to you I'm a UFC fan. I'm a little bit of one of those guys. I'm kind of like the golf fan who's like, when Tiger Woods was there, I was like, George St. Pierre for me was, because of who he was,
Yeah.
and Canadian, and just he's actually, we've done some work with him, and he's a great human being. But it's a pretty cool sport, and I don't know if you've seen what they've done in Abu Dhabi with Fight Island. Have you seen
Yep.
this thing?
I've seen it. I've seen the lead up to it. The first time I heard it, I believe it was a way to sort of get outside the restrictions, and obviously now there's less restrictions, but it's still a very cool idea, sort of putting this on an island, and creating a new product like that.
Yeah, like it. You know what? There's a pretty cool video, and there's more content online than obviously. But you've got 15 minutes this weekend,
Hmm.
and you're in our business. Watch. I think it's called "The Making of Fight Island." It's on YouTube. It's a great
Hmm.
video. I'm not here to promote UFC. Yeah, as an event person, as a person who constructs culture,
Hmm.
just how they built it. 11 chartered flights of athletes coming from around the world. The testing, the protocol. Kudos to them. It's really cool.
And I'll say this: I'm not a big UFC fan too, but I went to the one at the Rogers Center way back with GSP. That is my favorite event I've ever been to in the world.
Really?
Event as a whole. The size of the screens they brought in made the jumbotron look like nothing. The
Yeah.
sound just going through your body outside my nose was vibrating. You could
Right.
hear
I
the
wonder
noise
what
from
that meant.
outside the Rogers Center. Just
Yeah.
vibrating.
I didn't know
I,
you had
I
cue
I'm
the
very
mic.
impressed.
Yeah. Hey, I should know the answer to this question, so feel free to tell me. Did we know each
Yeah.
other then?
No.
Okay, because we did a bunch of work around that event, and it's funny
Oh
you brought
yeah.
up the screens. I completely forgot about it. I remember walking in, and I don't know if it was even called Rogers Center then. I think it was probably still Skydome. Um, I remember walking, going, they took the jumbotron and made it mini, because to your
Yeah.
point, all the rest was amazing. So, incredible. So, I don't know what you're going to talk about with Facebook. What are you going to talk about here?
So the Facebook label, this is just a topic that came through the ticker. Facebook is adding a label to all politicians' posts with
Okay.
information on how and where to vote. So no matter who it is, the highest level, the president, or the little guy going for Congress,
Love it.
every one of their posts will have information on where to vote, how to vote, and it sort of debunks sort of like, obviously, Trump telling people not to have mail-in votes, for example. So for right now, it's going to have a link to a government page. But Facebook will eventually create its own information center, which then sort of puts the question of Facebook being back in control of what content people share. So it sounds good for now, and it will allow certain people to have the correct information they won't be having, but we'll see what Facebook does with it when they put their own information in. I think it's something to take a close look at as the election gets
But
closer.
but where do you stand on this? Is Facebook a news outlet? Is Facebook a private business? Is it a
Hmm.
community? Does it have a moral, social, or ethical obligation to silence bad voices? Like, what's your opinion on this?
So I know that I read an article just before this with Mark Zuckerberg and his explanation of what he thinks about that. I think
He's the guy who stole the idea from his friends, right? That Mark Zuckerberg?
probably, yeah, that's the
Okay,
guy.
okay, good.
I believe
Okay.
there's a movie. Um, I think it's a community that I don't think there should be censorship, but I've kind of enjoyed. I'm less on Facebook these days. I'm more on Twitter. I've actually enjoyed their correcting of President Trump because I think that is important because a lot of people are listening to him. So the same thing with Facebook. If it is outrageous and if the same content is going on Facebook, I think it's their job to make sure that it's correct for those that are influential and that have a large voice and a following. It's dicey. I don't think anyone really has the answer. Everyone has their own opinion.
I think, look, they're so big, they do have a moral obligation to the world, to society.
Yeah.
I think that they've been a bit tone deaf. I think they're a fabulous business. I wish that I shouldn't make my crack about Zuckerberg. I mean, he's obviously he's done something I won't do in 100 lifetimes. I think, you look at Instagram, like amazing platform. And I understand all the need for, the pressure that came from companies to get them to behave. I think for me, that's my single biggest thing is that you look at organizations today and some of them are just a bit tone deaf of how to behave, what's right, and appearing to be more concerned about money. And
exactly.
At the end of the day, let's flip around and not just be critical of the U.S. In Canada, more people need to vote, and we need to put up our hands and say we need testing equipment, and we need ventilators, and we need better protection for our seniors and our vulnerables, and we need to pay our frontline workers more, and we need to look at a domestic supply chain. So there's lots to do. This last caption, my bad. I think I put in C Black Fashion Show. I should have put in C Tribe Fashion Show. I don't know if you can change that on the fly. Ashley, our guest producer, who's hiding behind there. So it's C-Tribe, TRIBE. What I want to talk about is a friend of mine, Sarah Safa. Sarah is the chairperson, founder of a really cool collective up in Edmonton. Here's some trivia you probably didn't know, Eric, and you're a worldly guy. Did you know that Edmonton is the world's most northerly metropolitan community?
I don't think I knew that. I knew it was close, but I didn't know for sure.
I had no idea. So what Sarah and his group with C Tribe, check it out, C Tribe, I'll put up on my link, is he has built a not-for-profit that is building culture, community, fashion, the whole concept of creating a tribe. They've got a fashion show coming up in a couple of weeks. You can sign up now. You can donate. Expressing my support. C Tribe, not C Black. My apologies. A shout out to my buddy Sarah. What I love is I love entrepreneurs. I love young people. I love people driving. And Eric, even though you work for T1, I would say you are one of those entrepreneurial dudes that I know. I want to thank you for joining me today. And I'm going to give you the last word. Go for it.
Oh boy, jeez, I did not expect that.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Well, it's been an honor to be a part of this. I was surprised when you gave the invite. As far as the last word, I think Canada, as far as COVID-19 is going in the right direction. Like we said many times on this theme, we don't want to screw that up with whether it's opening the border too quickly or allowing sports to come back too quick. But I think we've proven as a country that we can make the right decisions on all levels.
Okay. See you next week, folks. Thanks, Eric.
All right. Thanks so much.